Good evening, everyone. Wonderful to be with you. I will try to keep it as short as possible. For the sake of time, I'm the editor of the Palestine Chronicle. My name is Ramzy Baroud. I'm an author of several books on Palestine. My main focus in all of my books has been an area of history that has been kind of overlooked in the context of Palestine for far too long, and that is people's history. The history of Palestine is quite often being told by someone else. We've heard so much about it today, and you see how that is happening in the media, but it's happening in academia as well. It's happening in all aspects of issues that relate to Palestine and the Palestinian struggle. So we are in this kind of constant struggle just to define ourselves as even relevant to this conversation. Just to give you a very quick example, the US and Israel has agreed that they are going to be forming a committee that will decide the fate of the American consulate in Jerusalem, right? The Palestinians are not even invited to that conversation. They are not members of that committee. Take that as a microcosm of all the decisions that are being made on behalf of the Palestinians by someone else. We quite often talk about the American context and American mainstream media. We rarely talk in these kind of circles about what's happening in the Middle East itself. This wave of normalization that's happening by corrupt Arab regimes and governments, with Israel completely overlooking the Palestinian people and the Palestinian political discourse and any Palestinian representative, whether they are true representatives or not. Basically, they are trying to take us back to the yesteryears, where the Palestinians only existed in Arab consciousness as victims and existed in Western consciousness as terrorists. And we refuse that. And we cannot accept that, and we are in no mood for negotiating that our centrality to the Palestinian narrative. The Palestine Chronicle has been around for 25 years. I tried my luck with mainstream media, constant negotiations, constant compromises, to the point that when your article ends up being published in the Washington Post, it's written by someone entirely different. So as a result, the idea here, let's create our own mediums. Whether in media or academia, let's tell our own story through our own creations, as opposed to be affiliated with someone else and constantly having to negotiate that position for yourself. Just one last thing, and it's kind of a little bit of shameless self-promotion here, but Ilan Pappy and I, Professor Ilan Pappy, you know him well, and I have a new book that is coming out in a few weeks called Our Vision for Liberation, Engaged Palestinian Leaders and Intellectuals Speak Out. And this is the first such attempt where a large number of Palestinian intellectuals trying to define everything you need to know about Palestine, from history to politics to the one-state solution and so forth and so on, without going through any other third parties and without having to jump through any hoops. This is the hope that we could, in fact, reach the day in which the story of Palestine is being entirely and wholly told by the Palestinians themselves. I am very honored to be in the company of so many wonderful individuals and activists. My daughter Zarifa here, she is a PhD scholar, also with Ilan Pappy. He's kind of adopting the whole family, at the University of Exeter. She is a media advocate or a social media advocates and manager with the American Muslims for Palestine. Zarifa, take it from here.